Okay, Ashdin, thank you very much for joining. So, you are one of the renowned habit coach of India. So, before we get into deep dive, can you please explain in the very simple term what is habit according to you?
Lovely. So, habits are our subconscious patterns that we've started creating in our life. Okay.
Hmm.
So, the Oxford Dictionary has a very different definition of a habit from a habit coach. So, my definition is very different because I work with people. So, I actually see what habits are and how they form. So, I define
Hmm.
habits in the following way: any action or thought that is repeated at a set frequency, conscious or subconscious, is a habit. I'll break it up for you. I know it's a lot.
Hmm.
Okay. So normally we think of habits only as subconscious. I started driving and I have no idea how I drove to office. Subconscious.
Hmm. Yep.
Correct. But very often, many habits are conscious habits. Going to the gym is a conscious habit. Eating your
Hmm.
breakfast and choosing what breakfast is a conscious habit. So not all habits are subconscious. That's the first important thing. Otherwise, everyone says, "Arey, what to do? It's only my subconscious brain doing it." No, no,
Hmm.
no. There are conscious
Hmm.
parts of your brain also doing this. The second thing is any action or thought.
Hmm.
Normally, we think of habits only as actions. Like I'm
Hmm.
drinking my coffee as an action.
Hmm.
I'm wearing my shoes is an action. But what we don't
Hmm.
realize is that our thoughts are also habits. And in fact,
Hmm.
these thought habits are the more dangerous ones because we have
Hmm.
more of these thought habits than our action habits. And
Hmm.
it comes in this way, many people have this thing about, oh, I will never be rich.
Hmm.
Or, I don't know why all my relationships seems to fail. These are all thought
Hmm.
habits. You wake up in the
Hmm.
morning and you say, today is going to be a horrible day.
Hmm.
Thought habits. So what we
Hmm.
do is we realize that we actually have these habitual thoughts
Hmm.
and we catch them and switch them around. So many
Hmm.
times with my clients, it's these habitual thoughts that I work with, which ultimately turn into the action that they create within their life.
Hmm.
And the final part of this is it has to be of a repeated frequency. So it has to repeat.
Hmm.
If you do
Okay.
if you do an action once every month or every 2 months, it's not a habit.
Yeah, yeah. Now got it. Very great insight. So again, follow-up question, right? So how does brain form habit, right? And then how it become automatic gradually? So is it that subconscious mind plays a role over here, or you said it is conscious and subconscious mind? So like forming habits are because of subconscious and conscious mind. But then once it is formed, is it that it gets into your subconscious mind and it becomes automatic, or that theory is not 100% correct?
So there is a technical answer to this, that there is a place called the basal ganglia where our habits live and all of that. But we will put that to the side because we don't have neuroscientists listening to us. We have
Yeah,
everyday people who want to improve their lives.
exactly.
So the first thing for us to understand is that our habits are picked up subconsciously. We don't know we're
Hmm.
picking them up. From the time
Hmm.
we were children, we observed what our parents were doing, how they were
Hmm.
eating, how they were sitting. Were they
Hmm.
exercising? Were they not exercising? Were they sleeping at 10
Hmm.
o'clock in the night or 2 in the morning? And we
Right.
started picking all these things up.
Hmm.
We weren't learning it consciously. It wasn't like we were in school learning history, geography. It was all
Hmm.
by seeing things around us that we were picking it up. So it
Yep.
is that subconscious programming that starts. We don't even
Hmm.
know we have it.
Hmm.
Many times people come to me and we're like, and I make them do something known as a habit audit, which is
Hmm.
throughout the day, they write down all the little habits that they had formed. Then they
Hmm.
come to me and say, I didn't even know I was doing this.
Yeah.
And I know my mother used to do this. I'm surprised I'm doing this. So
Yep.
most of our habits are inherited habits. So Ashish said in my first TEDx talk
Hmm.
was on this topic, which was don't
Okay.
blame your genes, blame your
Hmm.
inherited habits, because
Hmm.
most of the time it's that,
Okay.
so my grandmother loved sugar, my mother loved sugar, I love sugar
Hmm.
because that's
Hmm.
how we grew up. So that is the
Hmm.
kind of subconscious habit we picked up. Now,
Hmm.
in order to change something that is subconscious, we have to
Hmm.
first become conscious about it.
Hmm.
Awareness is the starting point for any habit change.
Okay.
And then once awareness comes in is when we can then actually start tweaking,
Hmm.
moving, pushing in the habit direction that we want.
So I was listening one of your podcasts, earlier podcast, where you were mentioning that it is not motivation or willpower that forms the habit. So, for example, like the sugar is the great example. So I used to be sweet tooth, and then read a lot of articles, watch so many podcasts which describe how sugar can harm you. And then I stopped eating sugar completely. Like whenever it is liquid sugar, I mean, sugar in any liquid, I'm completely avoiding. Right. So I'm a tea person. I used to wake up with morning tea with sugar. Then I completely quitted that. Right. So what I'm trying, so I personally feel that I'm highly motivated because I want to be healthy and I wanted to be look better, that kind of stuff. So that motivated me to cut down on sugar as much as possible. But according to you, it is not motivation, but it is something else, like something like that. I heard somewhere. So
It is
so what is your
intention. So
intention, right? Yeah,
motivation,
intention.
so motivation is only very short lived. It
Okay.
is something that will give you that little spark. But in
Uh-huh.
order to maintain it, you need something
Uh,
that is a longer burning fuel. And the longer
okay.
burning fuel is intention. So you would
Okay.
have had something that would have created a very personal connect for you to give up sugar. So either, like you said, you wanted to either look better or feel better.
Yeah.
Something would have caused you to saying that now this is not who Ashish is anymore.
Yes.
I have to become this other person.
Hmm.
That is intention. Motivation is
Uh-huh.
saying, these two other colleagues in my office gave up sugar, so I will
Hmm.
also give up sugar.
Yeah.
That is a little motivation. But intention is
Hmm.
something very, very personal to you. So you
Hmm.
have to see what is very personal to you in order for you to make that change. If it's not personal, then it won't happen.
Okay.
And that is the
Hmm.
key part of this. Very often
Hmm.
people come to me saying they want to give up smoking or
Hmm.
they want to give up alcohol. And I
Hmm.
tell them, why do you want to give it up? And they'll say, oh, because my wife is telling me to, or my
Hmm.
daughter is telling me to, or my son is
Hmm.
telling me to.
Yeah.
And I ask them, do you want to? No, no, I'm okay
Hmm.
with it. I've been doing it since I was in college. So मुझे क्या जाता है? So
Hmm.
that
Right.
is when you realize that it's not going to work. There is nothing
Yeah.
personal here.
Hmm.
If there's
Hmm.
a person who said that, no, 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 I want to give it up because I just saw my baby boy and I
Hmm.
never want him to see me smoke. I never want him to smoke. And I was my father's baby boy. I'm sure he
Hmm.
doesn't want me to do that either. So it then
Hmm.
becomes a very personal story that you can then move towards and use for your habit change.
Okay. Makes sense. Perfect sense. I was also doing some research, right? So you mentioned that there are certain factors which acts as a constraint if you are trying to form a good habit. So we'll go one after another, but the number one factor, according to me, based on what you were saying in various forums and TED talks and podcasts, is
Mm,
stress,
mm.
right? And often we Indians describe stress as our part of our life. So, for example, I'm in corporate or I'm doing some startup or whatever else I'm doing. If some stress happens, we say it's okay, it's part of our life, right? We are living in mega cities, we are driving, traffic, everything. So, can you please explain to my audience that how this stress impact their habit or their behavior in general?
Lovely. So I'll start with a little story.
Yep,
So my Hindi is not very good. Okay, I'm a
that's perfectly
Parsi
yeah.
and I failed Hindi during my school. So I was invited to give a talk on a Hindi news channel
Wow.
on habits. So I first
Mm,
had to learn the words for it. So I had to learn the word for stress in Hindi. Do you know what the word for stress is in Hindi?
stress in
Tanao,
Hindi. Tanao, yeah, tanao, right,
right?
yeah,
Now you've
yeah,
never thought that stress means tanao. Tanao in Hindi means to be pulled in two different
pull,
directions.
correct,
And
correct.
that actually made so much sense because what
Huh,
stress actually
huh,
is that feeling of being pulled in two different directions.
mm,
One part is you want to be doing this, but somebody else is pulling you in another direction. Or two
right,
completely different people are pulling you in another direction. You don't know what
mhm,
to do. You're stuck in the middle.
yep,
So, Tanav was a very interesting way of understanding stress.
more stress, right,
And there are different ways of understanding stress because, like, when I do workshops, it's a 1.5 hour workshop on understanding
mm,
stress because there
okay,
are three different kinds of stress. There are mind worms, there is acute stress, there is chronic stress. Without getting into all of those in detail, there are few principles for stress which we need to
uh-huh,
understand.
uh-huh,
The first principle is that if you do nothing, the
huh,
stress will keep increasing. So
okay,
action reduces stress. No
hmm,
action increases stress. That's a
okay,
very, very important thing. Many a times when there is stress, we do nothing. We just sit.
Hmm.
That
Hmm.
stress builds up,
Okay.
or we try and hide from it. We don't try thinking about it. And then when we are
Hmm.
in bed about to go to sleep, all those stressful thoughts start coming back to us and we
Okay.
can't sleep at night. So the
Okay.
first thing
So
is you have to take action.
so I just, sorry to cut you off, but I just would like to have some practical example. Let's say I'm living in Mumbai. I am driving 1 hour one way to my office in a peak office hours, and I'm getting stressed, right? Then when I go to office, work pressure, deadlines, stress. I'm coming back home late in the night, and then again some stress is happening at home. Right. So this is the stress. Now, what kind of action should I take? First thing is we have to have some sort of awareness, I believe, right? Is that right? That I need to be aware that traffic, I'm getting stressed, work pressure, I'm getting stressed, all that kind of thing, right? And then you mentioned that we have to take some action. So this is a practical scenario.
So
So
what
now
you're
what?
actually describing now, Ashish, is the second
Yeah.
rule of stress, which I didn't come to,
Okay.
which is
Okay.
that all stress is external.
Okay.
The traffic is external. The work pressure
Okay.
is external. The
Hmm.
feeling of that is internal. So
Oh,
all we
I see
have
what
to
you mean.
do is disassociate from the external and the internal. So it is, you can't change the external, na? I can't make the
Yeah,
traffic
I
disappear.
get to know. No.
Correct? So I can
Yeah.
only change what's happening inside me. So this is the key
Mm.
part. All stress is only outside. If I want to feel less stress, I have to change what is happening inside me. So
Mm.
I'm sitting in traffic. The first problem is we feel that is saying, "Arey, why is there so much traffic?
Mm.
Traffic is there. There's nothing you can do about it. You chose to live
Mm.
in the city.
Mm.
Correct. If you don't want traffic, go live
Okay.
in the village. But you chose to live in the city. So there has to be traffic. Now, what
Mm.
can you do when you're sitting in the traffic? That is the internal state. You
Mm.
can practice your mindful breathing. So, one of the things that I
Mm.
tell my clients to do is every time there's a red light, do your box
Mm.
breathing. Box breathing is a
Mm.
way of calming your nervous system. Three
Mm.
seconds in, 3 seconds hold, 3 seconds out, 3 second hold. I'm sure you
Mm.
must have done this in different podcasts.
Yeah.
So, every time you're a signal, do your box breathing. The
Mm.
other thing I tell, in fact, I think it was episode number some 50 something on in the Habit Coach podcast, where I said,
Mm.
think about your car ride as a university on wheels. It
Mhm.
is your chance to learn. It's your
Mhm.
university.
Yep.
Listening to podcasts like this, listening to audiobooks,
Mm.
these things help us grow. And instead of
Mhm.
thinking of it as wasted time, barbad ho gaya, dekho, look at this idiot crossing me in front of me,
Yeah.
cutting me. We then say,
Mhm.
let him cut. I have 2 more minutes of listening to this
Listening. Yeah.
audiobook.
Mm.
That. The other
Mm.
problem is we create stress. How do we create stress? We leave late from home. So we are rushing. We are already late. Now there's
Mm.
traffic. So what have we done? What could have otherwise been a peaceful journey listening to your audiobook? Now you started off by being late.
Mhm.
This is where you take action. Say,
Mhm.
I know it's going to take 1 hour. Let me leave with 1 hour and 5 minutes. So there's even a five
Mhm.
minute buffer.
Mhm.
Let me wake up 5 minutes earlier. There is
Mhm.
always something you can do. But
Mhm.
what has happened now, Ashish, is that we have taken stress as a medal or a badge of honor that we wear.
Yeah. Right.
If you go to office and tell people that I'm not stressed, they will say, "Arey, kuch kaam nahi kar raha hai. They're not
Tamni.
working,
Right.
right? Useless, good for nothing. Why
Yeah.
you're not stressed? Okay, I'll give you more work." It's almost
Mhm.
become that you have to say, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, I'm stressed, that I'm
Correct.
finishing 5 cups of coffee a day, that I can't
Mhm.
sleep. So
Mhm.
what we have to do is we have to change the way that we're speaking about stress. It is not a badge of honor. It is an unfortunate part of the way people talk these days.
So do you think or do you believe that if I keep talking that I'm stressed,
Hmm.
it has further negative impact on me because now my subconscious mind learns that I'm under stress and it's a ripple effect, or talking like that or feeling like that will not impact you. What is your thought on that?
The words that we use are very, very powerful. And
Hmm.
if one thing that people take away from this podcast is
Hmm.
that the words that you use are
Hmm.
what will make your reality.
Okay.
I am depressed. So many people say,
Hmm.
"Oh, I'm feeling depressed." Are
Hmm.
you feeling depressed or are you feeling sad? There's a big
Hmm.
difference between these two. But
Hmm.
now, When you feel sad, you say, I'm feeling depressed. That
Uh-huh.
makes the problem 20 times worse. Everyone feels sad from time to time. It is perfectly normal. The
Uh-huh.
other one is anxiety and worry.
Uh-huh.
Now everyone is, I have anxiety, I have anxiety, I have anxiety.
Yes.
Do you have anxiety or are you worrying about something? You can worry. Oh, I'm worried
Uh-huh.
about this. Perfectly fine. It's not that you have anxiety about it. Correct? Same way, other things, I am traumatized by it. No, I'm not necessarily
Uh-huh.
traumatized. I'm affected. I'm negatively
Uh-huh.
affected. So
Right.
it is important to know where on this spectrum you actually are and use the right words. If
Uh-huh.
you're clinically depressed, of course you're clinically depressed.
Yes.
But if you're just sad and you're calling yourself depressed, in your mind, you're making it worse. So your body is
Uh-huh.
going to then make it worse. Your life is going to
Uh-huh.
become worse.
Uh-huh.
So
So
instead, you
is
have to learn to change the words that you use for different things. So instead of
uh-huh.
saying I'm stressed, say I'm feeling, either worried or I'm feeling pulled or I'm feeling
Uh-huh.
uneasy or
Uh-huh.
I need 2 minutes to relax. There are different ways in which you can use the words.
Okay. So can you just simplify, like explain our audience? So when we speak, right, something like this, like I'm stressed, I'm depressed, what happens internally that makes these things worse?
Great. So there are 3 stages to our life.
Hmm.
So the first one is our thoughts. What happens inside is in our
Hmm.
mind, correct? These are all the
Hmm.
repetitive thoughts that we
Yep.
have or what we are thinking. As
Hmm.
soon as we say it, it comes into reality. Now it is in the outside
Hmm.
world.
Okay.
So thoughts become our words.
Hmm.
Our words then become our actions.
Hmm.
They then become how we behave in the world.
Hmm.
So everything that is happening in the world with you right now was an action, before which was a word, before which was a thought.
Hmm.
That's why with habits, I say that actions are simple. The thoughts are the ones that you actually have to focus on. So you have to
Hmm.
work on a thinking process. Okay,
Okay.
you can say that I'm feeling sad, which is inside thinking.
Hmm.
But if you tell someone
Hmm.
I'm feeling depressed, now you automatically made it bigger.
Right.
Now, because you're feeling depressed, you have to start walking with your shoulders like this,
Hmm.
because now it's becoming a physical thing, it's becoming an action,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
Your friends will also start treating you like that. They'll be
Yeah.
like, oh, are you okay? What happened to you? But you were just
Hmm.
feeling sad. You weren't actually clinically depressed at that time. And if you were
Right.
clinically depressed, then you would take action. You would go meet a psychiatrist, you would go meet a psychologist, and then you
Hmm.
would do something, a therapist, you would do
Yep.
something about it. So that is why we very, very careful about the words you speak.
Hmm.
Like I
Okay.
tell my dad that you have to think twice or even thrice sometimes
Hmm.
before you say something. And he
Hmm.
was like, no, no, Ashton, if I just keep thinking about the words I say, then what is the fun in life? I was like, correct. But as soon as you realize that every time you say something, it's almost like you're casting a magic spell on the word. You're bringing into existence something that did not
Hmm.
exist earlier. You will be very, very careful about every single thing that you say.
So, Asmin, is
You
it
can
true? Yeah. No, go ahead.
I
Go
said,
ahead, please.
it is, you can think of a, negative thought about somebody. Arey, what an
Hmm.
idiot this person is.
Hmm.
But as soon as you call him an idiot onto his face, you've spoken it. Now you can't take it back. The thought, at least you could take back. The words you can't
Hmm.
take back.
Yep.
And the actions, definitely you can't. So
Yep.
that is why it is so important for you to think about thoughts, words, action.
Perfect. So I was just thinking then, is it like true other way around? So if even
Hmm.
if I'm feeling sad and I said I'm happy, will that work? Or you
It
if it
works
works,
to
why?
a certain extent.
Okay.
If it works when there is a aspect of reality with it.
Hmm.
Okay. So if you are on the road and you're saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, you're not going to feel like a millionaire.
Yeah.
But you
Right.
can still be on the road without a house, without money, without anything, and say, I have a mind that is rich. I have
Hmm.
a mind that can attract money. I have a
Hmm.
mind. Mind everyone has. You are then programming your thoughts towards searching for opportunities. I have an able body that can do work to earn money.
Hmm.
Then the mind will start searching for work so that you can earn money. But if
Hmm.
you start saying, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, then there is going to be a clash,
Disconnect. Right. Clash. Yep.
disconnect. Correct.
Yep.
So, what you have to do is you have to realize the words which still have an aspect of reality within it,
Hmm.
and
Makes
then
sense.
say those words into being, that is when you feel powerful. And that's when the world actually starts looking different for you.
Okay, great. Now, the second factor that I thought impacts behavior is sleep. So often, everywhere in the world, and specifically in India, l- less sleep, let's say, like I just sleep for like 3 hours, 4 hours, and then I'm working, is being glamorized everywhere in startup world, even in politics, everywhere you go. So, what are your thoughts in this with sleep and how it impacts our behavior?
Sleep, when I remember when I was, you know, in my early years of work,
Hmm.
I thought sleep was such a waste of time. I was
Yeah.
like, 7 hours, 6 hours, I could have been working, I could have been watching TV, I could have been out partying, I could have been doing so many things. Such a waste
Yeah.
of time.
Hmm.
And I used to say, you know what, I'll sleep when I'm dead.
Hmm. Yeah.
Dekha jayega.
Hmm.
Till I realized the effect of sleep and the way that it caught up on me, the way that it created a body that was breaking down. Because
Hmm.
what I did not realize was that sleep is actually the busiest time for your body.
Hmm.
It is not when you're running on a treadmill or when you're exercising that the body is the busiest. No, the body
Hmm.
is the busiest during sleep, because during sleep is the when it does all the repair work. So
Hmm.
all the cells are being repaired. The cells are excreting, getting rid of all the toxins they've collected. The
Hmm.
cerebrospinal fluid, which is the fluid in your spine and in your brain, it actually moves
Hmm.
up and down and washes itself. So there is so
Hmm.
much that is happening during sleep. And whenever we don't get our adequate amount of sleep and our
Hmm.
adequate quality of sleep, that is when our body does not have time to recover. And
Hmm.
if we would have otherwise, if with good sleep, our body would have slowly over the years deteriorated. Without
Hmm.
sleep, it becomes much faster.
Hmm.
Correct? And there are so many correlations with sleep
Hmm.
and the way that we gave up on sleep and our health. So, most of the health in the world deteriorated as soon as electricity came into homes. Because with
Hmm.
electricity came light bulbs. With light bulbs came the ability to stay awake longer. So,
Hmm.
people would have otherwise slept at 8:39, were now sleeping at 11. So, 2-3
Hmm.
hours of sleep were going right there. So as a
Right.
result, there's a direct relationship between the
Hmm.
way electricity, the light bulb, and our health came into being. So it's very
Hmm.
interesting in the world. These are few of these correlations that happen at the same time. Electricity, sugar becoming very cheap and
Hmm.
becoming a part of all our food. So all of that happened around the same time, which is why there was a dramatic drop in health across the world.
Okay. So how, let's say someone is not having good amount of sleep because of whatever reason, like they're staying somewhere where there are a lot of noise happening, for example, or they are working, let's say they're in India and they're working for US hours, right? So how they can improve upon their sleeping habits?
So the first thing is that what I tell everyone is that if you're very, very focused on your health, on your well being, on your optimization, and you have a
Hmm.
night shift job,
Hmm.
see if you can change it to a day shift.
Correct. Yeah.
Night shift is one of the worst things
The
that you
worst.
can do for your body, do for your mind, do for your life.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's essential. I understand.
Mhm.
Somebody
Yeah.
has to do that job. I understand. Okay. But I'm saying that if it is something that you can change, please change it. That's rule number
Hmm.
one. The second thing is that what you have to do is you have to control the environment as much as possible.
Hmm.
Okay. So if you realize you're in a noisy environment, you get sleeping earplugs.
Hmm.
Use that. If you
Yeah.
you realize you're in a bright environment, now we have in places like Mumbai, we have these bright billboards outside our window.
Yeah.
So
Right.
even though you put off the lights in your house, there is still so
Hmm.
much light coming in from the window that you
Yeah.
are wide awake. So what you
Hmm.
have to do is you have to buy curtains that are blackout. They completely
Mhm.
block all the light so that you can
Mhm.
sleep peacefully. So what you do is you start controlling the entire environment. If you have an
Mhm.
AC, cool down the room. Open the
Mhm.
bed sheet so even the bed is cold when you come inside,
Mhm.
because a cold environment is important for falling asleep faster.
Okay. Mm.
Okay. Make sure that no coffee enters your system after 3 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the afternoon,
Okay. Mm.
because coffee has what is known as a half life. That means it will
Mhm.
still stay in your body till about 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, so 6 or 7 hours after you've
Got it.
had that coffee. So you don't want that caffeine to be in your system for so long because it will still affect your. There are lots
Mhm.
of people who say, no, 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 I can drink coffee at 7 and fall asleep. Yeah, you can fall asleep, but the quality of your sleep is not as good. Remember, I said
Mhm.
quantity and quality are important.
Yeah.
So these are simple things that you can start as habits that will make a
Mhm.
very deep impact on the quality of life. The
Mhm.
simplest thing now, obviously, is to wear a tracker. So, a tracker like this, or
Yeah.
smartwatch, or a fitness tracker
Yeah.
tells you your sleep cycles. What is your deep
Mhm.
sleep? What is your rapid eye movement sleep? What is your light sleep? How many minutes were you awake? And
Mhm.
that gives you a way to track it as well. So I wear a normal watch when I'm, during the day, and at night I wear a digital watch. So that maintains
Mhm.
my sleep cycles.
Okay. Perfect. And any particular food you suggest in dinner for good sleep, like high carb, low carb, protein, any of that sort?
The simple rule is finish dinner as early as possible. So
Okay.
just after sunset, along with sunset, is a very
Mhm.
good time to finish dinner. Now, many people
Mhm.
say, but I'm driving back at that time. So fair.
Mhm.
As soon as you come home, have it. Don't come home and then have it late. So the
Mhm.
worst thing you can do is have a late dinner. That will that will affect your dream states. But more
Mhm.
importantly, it is not good from your digestion point of view.
Mhm.
So it is not good for sleep. It is not good for your digestion, nutrition,
Good.
and your blood sugar levels. So
Mhm.
eat dinner as early as possible. Nutrition is a whole can of worms. People will be like, oh, no, 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 no. You need to have high carb. You need to have low carb. I was like,
Yeah.
I tell you, whatever you feel is good for your body,
Mhm.
have a
Mhm.
light dinner. Don't have a heavy dinner. That's the only thing that I would suggest. So, like, you can do like a nice soup. You can do a nice, a light meal that does not sit in your stomach. That is the important
Mhm.
thing. The other thing is alcohol. Many people say,
Mhm.
oh, I'll have a little alcohol and I'll fall asleep fast. The
Mhm.
problem with alcohol is that you will fall asleep fast, but you will wake up at 3 a.m.
Mhm.
because by 3 o'clock is when the liver has finished digesting that alcohol. And that
Mhm.
is when there is a spurt of cortisol and a spurt of blood sugar that comes into your system
Mhm.
that wakes you up.
Mhm.
So there'll be many people who will fall asleep with alcohol and then wake up early and then they not know
Mhm.
what to do with themselves for an hour. So these are little things that you can start making a difference with regards to the food that you eat before sleep.
Right. So why I would like to focus more on food is because what happens is, yeah, I mean, we have to eat as early as possible, but then sometimes people measure their glucose levels through continuous glucose monitor, and then they feel that if they eat dinner too early with lot of carbs, then the nighttime glucose level goes down to like even down from 70 to like 60s and all that, and then they start feeling sweating and all that, and they wakes up, right? So is it like possible to take some sort of like healthy fats, you suggest more, or like it doesn't matter?
So I'm wearing one continuous
Yeah.
glucose monitor
Yeah.
as well
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now.
Right. Yeah.
And so what you do is, so you need to realize that if you are eating healthy, that
Uh-huh.
means if you're eating your moderate carbs, not high carb, if you're having more vegetables, if you're having a
Hmm.
high protein diet, you
Yeah.
realize that your body is very good at maintaining the blood sugar.
Exactly. Yep.
Drop happens only when you've had a high carbohydrate meal and then
And
your body is
crash.
saying, Arey, launch, take out lots of insulin. Insulin comes out and
Hmm.
then it goes beyond the thing. So you have a very
Correct.
high and then you have a very low after that.
Yep.
So if you don't have that high, you don't have that low. So that's
Huh.
the first thing. Okay. So if you don't have that high peak
Huh.
for dinner, you don't have that drop that happens afterwards. You'll have a
Right.
moderate balance
Yep.
that would take place. Your body is very good at maintaining that. Some people might feel a drop, then
Huh.
just before going to sleep, have a little bit of honey and then go
Yeah.
to sleep.
Okay.
So that little
Hmm.
honey will still help you maintain that blood sugar without giving you too
Okay.
much of a spike. Not like a full
Mhm.
spoon, a little
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
teaspoon of
Just
honey, just a little
yeah,
bit to make you feel comfortable about it.
makes sense. All right. So jumping to the next factor. So productivity, right? What I have observed is like Indian definition of hard work become confused with long hours and constant availability, right? Specifically, my audience who are coming from like startup or IT world, they're necessarily like working for longer hours, and then their bosses or managers see that as a productivity. So I feel that is the factor which contributes a lot. So like 12 hours is the norm right now, if I'm not wrong. Right. So how does that impact? Right. People talk a lot. People spend like hours in lunch and tea and all that, and then they continue to stay in office for longer hours just to show up.
Think about it, na. Companies don't want to send you home. Google has sleep pods. It has breakfast,
Yeah.
lunch, dinner. It has
Right.
everything. It
Yeah.
has table tennis. It has
Correct.
socializing. They don't want to send you
Yeah.
home.
Exactly. Yeah. They want to change your world actually. Yeah.
Correct. So,
Yeah.
what is important for us to realize is that nobody taught us how to work. So,
Hmm.
one of the workshops that I used to do was called
Hmm.
Work Habits I Wish I Knew at 23. Because nobody
Hmm.
teaches us how to work. Did anyone teach you how to work? No
No.
one taught us how to work. People taught us how to study.
Yeah.
The teacher taught you how to study. Mummy, daddy hit you when you did not study. People
Yeah.
taught us how to study. Nobody taught us how to work.
Yeah. They just
But
say
how did they
work
teach
hard.
you? Work hard. इसका मतलब
Work hard.
क्या? So when we were studying, our quality of study was equal to how many hours we studied. If you
Hmm.
notice, it was always measured with I went home and I did homework for 3 hours.
Hmm.
I studied 4 hours for my exam. I studied
Hmm.
6 hours for my exam. So
Hmm.
quantity of time was used to measure the output.
Hmm.
And that is where we still took that same thing into our work life and said that if
Hmm.
I work 12 hours, it's better than if I work 6 hours. So
Hmm.
we extend, because in our mind, we
Yep.
think that the more time we spend, the better it is. But actually, your boss does not want 12 hours of work. He wants the work done.
Yes.
Correct? So, what you have to realize is that when you work, productivity is measured by the quality of output and the
Hmm.
efficiency of output. Efficiency means how fast did you do it with as little resources as possible. How fast did you do it? I did this in 20 minutes. The other person took 2 hours. Fabulous.
Hmm.
You were more efficient. You took less
Yeah.
resources to do it. So, this is
Hmm.
how you start thinking about it. So what I make
Hmm.
people do is I make people do an audit, like we were talking about the habit audit right earlier. I make people sit down and I make them write how much time they actually spent on each thing at work, and it is so fascinating. People coming back and saying, "Listen, Ashton, I did this, and I realized I don't work at all. I spent half my time talking about cricket, then the other half
Hmm.
was spent moving from one meeting to the next. There were
Yeah.
4 meetings where I did not have to be part of."
Hmm.
So they realize that they are not actually working.
Hmm.
And we crunched down their entire day into
Hmm.
just 4 hours. Because most people will notice that the only time they're productive is 4 hours
Hmm.
max. The rest of the
Hmm.
time is just faff. Oh, I was doing this, I was eating food, I was doing that, I was meeting people. 4 hours is maximum when it comes to productivity.
Hmm.
And it's so interesting. I remember one of my earliest clients. He's now one
Hmm.
of India's biggest billionaires. He's just
Hmm.
become a new one. And
Hmm.
he was this kind of person who used to work 7 days a week.
Hmm.
Was
Yep.
affecting his family life, children,
Hmm.
etc. And he was saying that, Ashton, I want to, stop this because, I just have a new baby. I want to spend more time with him. So I said, fabulous. Sundays, no work. You have to stay at home. He said, yeah, that's
Hmm.
no problem. I was like, Saturdays also no work. So he's grumbled a little. He was like, no, how can I do this? My company needs me. I can't just suddenly
Hmm.
get up and go away from it, etc. I was like, do it, no problem. So
Hmm.
2 weeks he did it. He was like, okay, it was uncomfortable, but it is fine. Then I
Hmm.
said, fabulous. Now, no
Hmm.
going to work on Wednesday.
Hmm.
Ashton, you don't understand how businesses work. My company will shut down. You're an idiot. I was like, do you trust me? That I trust you.
Hmm.
I was like, no, going to work on Wednesday. Okay, so this continued for 4 weeks. He didn't go on to work on Wednesdays. Then we had our session. Then he was like, Ashton, I think the office is running better without me. I don't know, because now he's built in efficiencies which were otherwise
Hmm.
inefficient, because he
Right.
now can't go 3 days a week. So he is like, I think everything is working smoother. Nothing has been damaged. I
Hmm.
am thinking of not going on Thursday as well. So from a 7-day work week, he brought it down to a 3-day work week,
Serious.
because he realized that if he works very productively for those 3 days, he does
Hmm.
not need the remaining 4. He can go play golf, he can spend time with his family, he can do all these other things while
Hmm.
growing the business. Like I said, it has grown to now becoming own personal wealth of being billionaire. So this is the way in which you can actually become more productive without thinking
Uh-huh.
as time as your measure of productivity.
Mm. Right. Okay. No, very good insight. So the another factor I was reading somewhere. So you often talk about identity, right? So how you see yourself, which also impact your behavior. So can you please elaborate more on that as well?
Good. So,
Yeah.
all habit change, all
Hmm.
successful habit change is
Hmm.
identity change.
Okay.
Okay, let me tell you what I mean by this.
Hmm.
Your identity is the badge that you wear, are the labels that you wear.
Hmm.
Like you mentioned it earlier in the podcast that I have a sweet tooth. I had a sweet tooth.
Right.
Correct. That sweet tooth was a identity that you
Identity.
carried.
Hmm.
It is a label that you had.
Hmm.
When you realized that you no longer needed the sweet, you
Hmm.
stopped being the person that had a sweet tooth. Notice you said, I
Hmm.
had a sweet tooth. I
Yes.
don't have a sweet tooth.
Yep.
Correct? So, what you did was you changed your identity. In the same way, we have to change how we think of ourselves and the labels
Hmm.
we put on ourselves
Hmm.
for whatever change we want. You want to start becoming fit,
Yep.
stop calling yourself, I am a gol matol or I am a fatso
Right.
or I'm a lazy
Yep.
person. You want to
Hmm.
become fit, start using the words that a fit person would use. So, I
Hmm.
am somebody focused on fitness,
Hmm.
right? The gym is where I go to meditate,
Right.
whatever it is that you want to say, however
Hmm.
you want to say it, but you start changing the way that you think about yourself. Because
Hmm.
if you don't change that, nothing will change. Like, for example,
Hmm.
smokers. How many times have you heard people say, I have quit smoking?
Many
Correct.
times.
You
Yeah.
offer them a cigarette and they'll say, no, no, I have quit.
Yeah. Hmm.
That means that they were a smoker. Imagine
Hmm.
if somebody offered them a cigarette and they said, no, no, I'm not a smoker.
Hmm. Gone.
Not a smoker is a very different identity from I have quit smoking.
Hmm. Yep.
And that is the key difference. Another example that many people understand is when they say, I can't eat this, I'm on a diet, right? Or I would love to eat this, but I'm on a diet. The identity is that I'm on a diet, which means
Hmm.
that eventually they will be off a diet and they will eat
Hmm.
all of this.
Yep.
It's not a lifestyle change that they've made, it is a
Hmm.
temporary change. If people say, no, no, I'm sorry, I don't eat gluten. I'm sorry, I don't eat sugar.
Hmm.
Correct? It's a
Hmm.
very definite
Yep.
cutoff. Like,
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I focus on only eating healthy food. It's a definite
Right.
cutoff. That is the way in
Hmm.
which you have to start thinking about, the way that we talk about ourselves, our identity that we carry,
Hmm.
the labels that we carry.
Okay. Next one is like relationship, right? So let's say if you want to change certain habits, but then let's say you change your routine, but you have a family and your family for whatever reason doesn't support your new routine. So how you handle such scenarios? Because at one hand, again, there is a tanao, right? At one hand, you want to change yourself. For that, you have to change the routine, but you have family that is not supportive of your routine. So how you can handle such scenarios.
Very good. So, the first mistake that many people make is they force their habits on everyone else.
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
am waking up at 6 o'clock. Everyone has to wake up at 6 o'clock because
Yep.
I'll put on all the lights. I'll do this. I'll do that. So that's the
Mhm.
first mistake people make. It will create problems for you. The second is they don't tell anyone that they're making this habit and they drop it like a bombshell. Acha, now in the morning, I will not be able to drop you to school because I'm going to the gym.
Mm.
Eh?
Yep.
Correct? So what we have to do is what we have to first learn to make those our family members part of our system. So you have to tell them, look, I'm going to be giving up sugar. Okay.
Mm.
It is a very, very difficult thing to do, giving up sugar. I would request only three things from you. One, please don't tempt me with sugar.
Mm.
Say, beta, ek bite khalo. Just try it. It is very good. Don't do that because I will not have the willpower to sustain that.
Mm.
Okay. The second is that all the sugary food that we have in the house, I am going
Mm.
to put in the cupboard so I don't see it.
Mm.
If you want it, you can put it. Or better still, you hide it and put it wherever you want.
Mm.
And the third thing is that if we are outside and we order dessert, I will get up and go for a walk. So I'm not feeling
Mm.
tempted. Please
Mhm.
support me in this. What you're doing is then you're making them a partner in your new habit. But otherwise, what people say, you know what, I'm giving up sugar. You also should give up sugar. From now onwards, no chocolates in the house, no sweets in the house, no cake in the house. And
Mm.
everyone else is like, what nonsense is this?
Yeah.
Correct. So we have
Right.
to realize this. And sometimes family, in their own good intentions, do this. I remember the first time I was doing a 100-day no sugar challenge.
Hmm.
We were in Kerala with my extended family, and I have a
Hmm.
cousin. And every time he was having a biscuit, he would offer me a biscuit. He was like, "Here,
Yeah.
you want bourbon? Here, you want Jim Jam?" And I'm like, "Anosh, when are you going to realize this is sugar? I'm knowing no sugar. I cannot have it. Don't offer it to me."
Hmm.
So they are trying to be
Yeah.
polite. They're trying to care, but they're not
Hmm.
understanding how hard it is for you. So you have to make that little tweak for them.
Right. So these are some of the factors that are impacting. Now let us focus on change, right? So I was reading that you suggest that if you want to change habit, make very small change. Like first change should be very small, right? So can you please elaborate why that kind of techniques work? How what happens internally, how our brain adopt those kind of small changes better than like bigger changes?
Lovely. Very often, what happens is that we create habits from our ego.
Hmm.
I will run 5 kilometers every day. I will wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning. Why?
Hmm.
Because when we tell our friends that we are doing this, we want them to say, "Wow, this you're
Hmm.
doing, how you're doing this." So many a times our ego comes in the way when we are trying to build these habits. The other thing that happens is that we see other people running at 5 o'clock in the morning at 5 a.m. and think that is what they have to do. But we did not
Hmm.
see that they started off by morning walks
Hmm.
at 7 o'clock. Then once the walk became easier, they started running. They
Hmm.
ran 500 meters, then they ran 1 kilometer, then they ran 1.5 kilometers. We did not
Hmm.
see those steps. We only saw that final outcome of 5 kilometers at 5 a.m. And we
Hmm.
thought that is what we have to do. So
Hmm.
many a times, the information that we receive and
Hmm.
our ego make us have these very, very difficult habits that
Mhm,
are not sustainable because our lifestyle was not created around it. Either our body cannot sustain it or our lifestyle cannot sustain it. If you
mhm,
are coming home at 11 o'clock in the night, it's very hard for you to wake up at 5 o'clock. It's not
right.
sustainable. You'll do it one day, you'll do it 2 days, but after that, no. So what you have to do is you have to realize that you have to make small, small changes. What does this
Mhm,
mean? If you wake up at 7 o'clock right now, set your alarm half an hour earlier. Bus. Wake up at 6:30. Don't suddenly wake up at 5.
mm,
Then once waking up at 6:30 is easy, wake up at 6. Once
mm.
waking up at 6 is easy, 6:30, then 5.
So, yeah.
What you do is you start these steps. And very often my job as a habit coach is actually not just to, whip people into doing the habit. It is actually
Mhm,
to also tell people, whoa, you're going too fast. Slow
mhm,
down so that you can make this sustainable. Because
mhm,
my goal is that this habit is with you for the rest of your life,
mhm,
not just for the 21 days that people think or a 1 month that people think. I want this
mhm,
habit to be with you for the rest of your life. So then
mhm,
why are you in a hurry to try and do this large thing? Do it small, do it sustainably, and
mhm.
ultimately make it something that stays with you forever.
So you think so waking up, I totally understand and agree that it works this way, but like quitting alcohol or smoking or even sugar works like that. Like for example, you are smoking 10 cigarettes a day and then you cut down to 8, then 6. Will that work that way? Or like you cut down completely and it work better?
So going cold turkey
Hmm.
works, but it's much harder. If you're
Okay.
smoking 10 cigarettes a day, first you have to see what impact it has on your bank balance because smoking is very, very
Yeah.
expensive. Right?
Right.
If you do the maths, you'll realize how many lakhs of rupees you're spending
Yep.
on
Right.
smoking.
Yep.
So you first have a heart attack with that before you get a heart attack in real
Yep.
life. Then, okay, jokes aside, what you do is you start quitting one cigarette at a time. Now, why one
Okay.
cigarette? Because you'll notice that you go and smoke at particular habitual moments. As soon as I reached office, I have to have a cigarette. While leaving
Hmm.
office, I have to have a cigarette. तो मतलब दो habit हो गया. At lunch, I have to have one. Then my
Hmm.
afternoon coffee, I have to have one. So you'll notice the cigarettes are associated with moments.
Yep.
And then there are 3 cigarettes that I have randomly whenever I'm feeling stressed or whenever there's a meeting that
Hmm.
is. So what you've noticed is that the cigarettes are associated with moments. You
Hmm.
have to find something else to do in that moment
Hmm.
instead of that cigarette. So maybe it is that you don't have chai at the tapri wala outside the
Hmm.
office, but you have your chai inside the office
Hmm.
on your table. So what
Table.
you've
Right.
done is you've changed the environment. You no longer stop outside the office, have the cigarette, have the chai and come into the office. Instead, you drive straight into
Hmm.
the office, go up. and have your coffee there. So that is one
Mhm.
cigarette that you have removed. Then before
Mm.
leaving work, you do the same thing. You don't go down
Mm.
to the ground floor to smoke, you go straight down to the basement to sit in the car.
Yeah.
So these little ways, you actually change all 8 or 10 habits.
Mm.
And then when you are down to 2 cigarettes or 1 cigarette, you can then go to cold turkey.
Cool
Because what
turkey.
you need for cigarette smoking is 2 weeks of not smoking.
Hmm.
In
Okay.
2 weeks, the nicotine has left your system. So it's no longer a
Mhm.
chemical addiction. It is now only
Okay.
a thought addiction. Are you know
Mhm.
what? My fingers are feeling itchy. I feel like having something.
Hmm.
So that is when you then find something else that you can do instead of the cigarette.
Okay. Perfect. Very good insight. So, Aston, we are almost in the end, but my audience may want to know about more about your work, right? So currently, let's say someone wants to register for your sessions. Are you mostly doing with the corporates, or you are having private and people can come somewhere and register for that? How does that work?
So there is a lot of free content out there. So I've done
Yep.
1,500 plus episodes of my podcast. So you can go and listen to all of that. So that will give you a lot of information. I have written 4 best-selling books. So
Yep.
the first one is on habits. The others
Mm.
are on mental well-being, productivity habits, habits for children as well.
Yep.
So you can then go look at the books. If you're part of a corporate and would want to
Mm.
invite me for a talk, please just send me an email. Happy to come,
Mm.
you know, speak to everyone there. I do lots
Yep.
of corporate training sessions as well. One-on-one coaching is primarily what I do. So if you are interested in that, you can just send me an email. It is
Mm.
ashdin at awesome180.com. So you
Mm.
can find it on my website as well. And that would be
Sure.
the
Yep.
best way of connecting with me. You can drop me a message on Instagram. I reply to all the direct messages that come in.
Perfect.
We can take it from there.
What I'll do is, yeah, what I'll do is I'll add all your free content links in this episode as well, and also your book links as well. And then, like you said, people can always reach out to you through Instagram and email or however they want. So perfect. That explains. All
Lovely.
right. Thank you so much, Astin, for joining. It's pleasure talking with you. And I hope we will have more discussions some other time as well, because I have so many open questions right now and it's a completely new insight for me. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much, Ashish. Lovely. Thank you for the audience to listening. And I hope to connect with you soon.
Absolutely.